الحمد لله أن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه أما بعد فإن خير الكلام كلام الله وخير الهدى هدى رسول الله صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. Imam Ahmed and Tirmidhi rahimahumullah both collected the hadith that serves as the backdrop for the discussion concerning the poison heart of envy, which is in Arabic called al-hasad, and the one who's doing it is al-hasid. And the two, al-hasad is a characteristic that the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam clearly came to eradicate and destroy. A person doesn't have envy except that he's going to do any and everything in order to get his goal and his objective fulfilled. He's going to compromise anything and everything, irregardless of the connection that he has with the people who are around him. Hasad or envy in Islam is to be upset that Allah Azza wa Jalla has bestowed upon someone, something that He didn't give to you, and to want that thing to be taken away from that individual. That's hasad. So it consists of two things. Someone sees that someone else has something, or they've completed something, they've obtained something, attained some station, they hate it with a passion, and they go a step further and they hope that that thing is taken away from them. Whether they receive it or not is irrelevant. The important thing is not to see the favor that Allah Azza wa Jalla chose to bestow on that individual, on that person. That's al-hasad, and that's haram, and it's one of the major sins in al-Islam. A hadith comes that tells us it is permissible to have hasad. He says sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, la hasada illa fi ithnatayn. There's no envy except in two situations. There are two situations where envy is permissible, and what is similar to those situations. He said one is a man who Allah Azza wa Jalla has given him knowledge. He knows the Quran. He has knowledge of al-hadith. He has knowledge of al-fiqh. He's a knowledgeable person. So a person aspires to be like him. That's permissible hasad. He said the second case is a man who Allah Azza wa Jalla has given him wealth. He gave him money, and he spends that money fi sabilillah. He spends it correctly, doing charitable things, things that Allah Azza wa Jalla has ordered and commanded, and things that the Prophet ﷺ encouraged. So that person says, I wish I had the money that he had, so I can do similar or more. This hasad, the Nabi called it hasad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but another word for it is al-ghibta. Al-ghibta, which is to have envy, but it's positive envy. The envy that we're talking about today obviously is the one that is the destroyer. The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam called it the razor, the haliqa. The hadith that we mentioned is the hadith in which Az-Zubair ibn al-Awwam, one of the 10 people promised al-Jannah, Az-Zubair ibn al-Awwam, he said that the Nabi told us sallallahu alaihi wasallam, dabba ilaykum da'ul qablakum al-hasadu wal-baghda'u hiya al-haliqatu la aqul haliqatun tahliqu al-sha'r walakin haliqa tahliqu din. He told his companions radiyallahu anhum, and they were the awliya of Allah, they were the best of the people. He said, there has come to this ummah the sickness that hit the communities that went before us, meaning the Jews and the Christians. As the Rasul told us sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Tattabi'unna sunan man kana qablikum shibran bi shibr wa dhara'an bi dhara'." You people are going to follow the footsteps of the ones who went before you, the Yahud and the Nasara. Everything that they did, you're going to do. When they came on the scene, their prophets, their messengers, they were around people who were not on their religion, and those people had holidays. And although their prophets and messengers brought them unique and distinct holidays, they didn't find it enough. The Jews and the Christians, they had to branch out and they had to explore. And one of the things that they did was to follow the holidays of the non-Muslims, the people who were not on their religion. Everything that the Yahud and the Nasara, Jews and the Christians did, we also as an ummah are going to fall into it. And one of them is this issue, following non-Muslims in the holidays that they have. The Nabi, he told the people sallallahu alaihi wasallam, "Man tashabbaha biqawmin fahuwa minhum." Anyone who resembles a people, he is like them. And one of the major ways of resembling the people is to embrace and to take on their holidays. And muhim, he said that this disease hit the communities and the nations that were before you, the Jews and the Christians. He said it is the disease of envy and animosity, being jealous of one another and having animosity towards one another, fighting each other. Relatives fighting each other, Muslims not getting along with each other is a disease. And if you were to sit down and you were to ask the people, what's the problem? You won't find that either side is giving you an intelligent answer. It's just something that's in the air, something that's there, and it doesn't deserve to be there. And the Nabi described it as a disease. Envy and animosity, rancor between each other. He said this envy and animosity, it is the razor. He said it's not the razor that will cut your hair, but it is the razor that will cut your deen. So a few issues about this particular hadith of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam when dealing with and dissecting the issue of hasid, looking at it from the Islamic perspective, from the Kitab and the Sunnah. This hadith shows that hasid is an issue that hit the nations that came before us. It's a natural human trait. Everybody here has the propensity and manifestations of al-hasid, except the few minority that Allah Ta'ala protected them from. And don't be of the people who say, not me, no way. No way. One of the connections of envy, many things are connected to envy. The evil eye is connected to it. Magic is connected to it. One of the things that is connected to the envy is ijab al-nafs, ijab al-mar bi nafsi, a person being conceited, being pleased with himself. It has a unique and strong connection, as we're going to show you inshallah ta'ala as we come to that. So the hadith of the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam goes to show that it is a disease that afflicted many people before you. And he said it is a disease that is the razor. And the meaning of that is a razor that will cut your deen, not your hair, is that people who fall into hasid, they can be connected to a religious organization. The job and the objective is to move the organization forward. But because of hasid, a person will sabotage the efforts that are going to benefit the whole community. The way he is. He doesn't like that the other person is in charge. He doesn't like that the other individual, he started it. He doesn't like that another individual has been given this or that responsibility, and it's from the affairs of the religion, and the individual will sabotage and compromise his deen. As a result of that, it is considered to be a razor. Anyone who has this uncontained hasid, it's going to be a problem. We look at the Quran and we look historically at it, we see that it caused a lot of problems for a lot of people from Allah Azza wa Jalla's creation. Starting off with Iblis. As the ulama of Islam said, the first sin that Allah Azza wa Jalla was disobeyed by it was envy, when Allah Azza wa Jalla told Iblis to bow down to Adam, and he said, I'm not going to bow down to him. You created me from fire, you created him from dirt, from mud. So it has a connection between arrogance and being conceited. So it started the first sin in which Allah Azza wa Jalla was disobeyed in the heavens. It is the haliqa, or the razor, in that when it entered into the heart of one of Adam's sons, when Allah Ta'ala accepted the sacrifice of one and rejected the sacrifice of the other, because the one who sacrificed, he sacrificed from the best of what he had, and the one who his sacrifice wasn't accepted, he was stingy and cheap. Allah accepted it from the one who had a taqwa and rejected it from the one who was playing games. As a result of that, one became upset and angry with the other, that Allah Azza wa Jal accepted from him and rejected from me, and as a result of that, he became envious, and it led him to murder his brother, the murder of his own brother. It is the haliqa, the brothers of Yusuf, salawatullahi wa salamuhu alayhi. They said, verily, Yusuf and his brother Benjamin, they are more beloved to our fathers than we are, and we are a strong-bodied group of men. Why did Yaqub love Ibrahim and Binyamin? He loved them because of the characteristics of a taqwa and knowledge that was embodied in the both of them. And in loving them, he didn't shun his responsibility, and he didn't act unjustly towards those other brothers who had a problem. But again, they had a problem with the fact that their father chose and honored Yusuf and Binyamin over them because of their positive qualities. It led them to try to murder Yusuf, and it led them to try to cause problems for Binyamin. It's the haliqa in this majlis right now, because of al-hasad, again, as I told you, the one who doesn't control it, because everyone has the propensity to have it. Even if you see yourself as not being jealous, everyone here, you go to someone's house, he has an extension in his house, he has nice furniture in his house, people go in that house and they have hasad. As a result of the hasad, they put evil eye on the individual. So it's not just important that we deal with the issue of hasad, it's important that we deal with what should you do to protect yourself from the hasid, idha hasad. Historically, showing that al-hasad, ikhwani, is a haliqa, and there are just too many examples. One of the main reasons why the kuffar of the different nations in the past, they didn't listen to and they didn't obey and they didn't follow their rasul and their anbiya, salawatullahi wa salamu alayhim, is simply because the ones who chose to follow them were what they considered to be from the lowly people. قالوا أن نؤمن لك واتبعك الأرذلون. They said to Shu'aib, they said to Hud, they said to all of the prophets in the past, shall we follow you when all we see is those who are low and debased, the du'afa, fuqara? It's just the regular people following you. It's not the people with money like us. Why are they following you and we're not following? Why did they precede us to your message? And they reject the message just because of that. Throughout the Quran, if you read those ayat, those surahs of Al-Anbiya, Surah of Hud, all of those surahs where Allah Azza wa Jalla gives us the story of the prophets when they came. Each one came to his people and all of them said, we're not going to believe in you because we have a problem with the fact that people who are below us are following you. So they rejected the message of a Tawheed for no reason other than other people proceeded into it. Even the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wa sallam, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, everybody from Quraysh knew that he was truthful. Everyone from Quraysh knew he was worthy of what he was claiming. But they said, like in the case of Abu Lahab and Abu Jahl, they said, we used to be in a race with his part of Quraysh. Quraysh had different tribes. The Nabi came from Bani Hashim. Umar came from Bani Makhzum. There were other tribes, they're all in the bigger picture Quraysh. But each tribe, each Quraysh has multiple branches. The Nabi was from Bani Hashim. Quraysh, all of them collectively are the best of the human beings in their lineage. If someone is from the Ahlul Bayt, if someone is from Quraysh, he has the best lineage in the dunya. Even if he's a non-Muslim, he has the best lineage that Allah Azza wa Jalla chose over all other lineages. Doesn't make him in Jannah automatically, doesn't mean he's from the awliya of Allah, doesn't mean we should allow him to take advantage of us, but nonetheless, Quraysh consisted of different branches. They said, we used to, Abu Lahab, Abu Jahl, we used to race Bani Hashim and everything. They fed the pilgrims, we tried to feed the pilgrims. They took care of the Kaaba, we spent our money to take care of the Kaaba. Said that we were going back and forth in the race. Now all of a sudden they have someone coming saying that he's a Nabi, he is a Rasul. They said we're not going to believe in that message because we should have been the ones who this was sent to. So many ayahs of the Quran was sent down to address this issue. They had a problem that Allah Azza wa Jalla would send the Quran and choose an individual from amongst them and not their tribe. So the point is, al-hasad, it is the razor. Al-Imam al-Bukhari is the Imam of the dunya. I think if we said, how many of you heard the name al-Bukhari, even if you don't know a lot about him, the vast majority of people here, you know that al-Imam al-Bukhari was an Imam of Ahlul Hadith. He was an Imam of al-Islam. And when we see situations where, for an example, al-Imam al-Bukhari may say something about a particular scholar that we may love, it is not permissible for a person to come and say, I don't like al-Bukhari because he said that about this Imam or that Imam. Al-Imam al-Bukhari is not Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's not infallible, but he is an ayah from the ayat of Allah, just as those scholars before him. Al-Imam Abu Hanifa, Al-Imam al-Shafi, Al-Imam Ahmed, Al-Imam Malik. But none of them were similar to al-Bukhari in the book that he put forward. Al-Imam al-Bukhari came to a place called Naysabur, where Al-Imam Muslim was. And just because he was nitroglycerin, just because he was more knowledgeable than everyone who was there previous to him coming there, some of the scholars of Naysabur started to say Al-Imam al-Bukhari is a deviant from al-Islam. If Al-Imam al-Bukhari was a deviant, then there's no Sunni in Islam. What caused them to say that? Nothing other than they saw his class in which they were mesmerized by his impeccable knowledge, his knowledge of the Sunnah. It was as if the Sunnah was placed before his eyes. He can pick and choose from wherever he wanted, and the people were older than him. People were well known than him. When he first came, they were mesmerized by his ability. So what did they do? Due to envy, which is the razor, they started creating drama and problems and mashakil for Imam al-Bukhari. And that was back then. Al-Imam Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala, another example, simply because he was an abkari, he was a genius in every science. Anyone and everyone who went against him, whether they were from Ahl Sunnah or whether they were from the people of innovation, وَكَثِيرُ مَهُمْ, and they were a lot. Anyone who he debated, Al-Imam Ibn Taymiyyah would always say, you go first, whatever you want to say. When the individual puts his proof across, whatever the proof was, intellectual, from the Quran, from the Sunnah, he was used the same proof of the opponent to refute him with his own proof. When the people saw his abilities and their incapabilities, they went and they made problems for him until the man ultimately died in prison after being in prison multiple times. And those examples are many. Great scholar of the Maliki Madhab, Al-Imam al-Baji. He was in a hostile environment with some Ahnaf. They were upset with him. They couldn't deal with his knowledge. They burnt his house down with his books in his house. And he came up with some beautiful lines of poetry about, if you burn my house down, you can't burn those things in which you burn my house down with my books in it. You can't burn the vessel that my books are actually being contained in, meaning his heart. So that's not something just peculiar to the Ahnaf. All of the madhahib did that to scholars of the other madhabs. And then someone's going to come and tell us we have to have a madhab. No, we don't have to have a madhab. We have to follow the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam first and foremost, and the canonized way, the systematic way that the madhahibs have put that way, that training is okay. It's okay. But don't be of the people who you reject the truth because it's not from your madhab. Which brings us to the issue of the connection of al-hasad with being conceited, looking at oneself as being more than his reality. And this, as I mentioned, is a natural characteristic in Bani Adam, has to be cultivated. Jihad has to be made against it, especially for practicing people. Great scholar of Islam. He's Amir al-Mu'mineen in Hadith. His name is Sufyan al-Thawri. Had his own madhab. Sufyan ibn Sa'id ibn Masruq al-Thawri. He was an imam of a madhab, and his madhab was bigger and better than the 4 madhahib that remained, rahimahullah ta'ala. He said, and he was one of the 10 people, Amirul Mu'mineen al-Hadith. Only 9 others occupied this high station. He said, there was nothing that I had to deal with that was more difficult in terms of jihad than my own niyyah. My own niyyah. The man was the imam of Al-Kufa during his time in Iraq. Anybody who was somebody, if you didn't take from Sufyan al-Thawri, people would look at you, what? You didn't take from, you didn't meet him? So if they heard he was coming to Mecca, Medina, people would flock to meet him. People travel from Egypt, Khurasani, Sabur, they travel from Sajistan, from all over the place to go meet him. On a daily basis, throughout the year, this man is sitting teaching the people, and he has a class full of people, 5,000 people, 10,000 people, every day, always, ya sheikh, ya imam, all the time, every time. That becomes a situation where it becomes easy for the individual to think himself bigger than his reality. Bigger than his reality. So everybody has this thing. The man came in, he said, Ya Rasulullah, inna ar-rajul yuhibbu an yakun thawbuhu hasana wa na'lahu hasana. He said, a man loves, one of us loves, this is the way we are. One of us loves for his thobe to be really nice and his shoes to be really nice. He was asking, is this arrogance? Am I being conceited? The fact that I want to wear a nice scarf that matches my shirt. I want to get nice glasses. I want a nice car. I want a nice this and a nice that. I want to represent. Is that arrogance? The Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him, Inna Allah jamil yuhibbu jamal. Allah is beautiful and He loves beautiful. He loves beauty. Al-kibru batrul haq wa ghamtun nas. Arrogance is for you to reject the truth and to look down upon people. Now this hadith goes to show, ikhwani, in our society that we live in, it teaches us, be different from the other people. Get some wheels on your car that no one else has. Rims on your tire. So that when you pull up to the red light, the rims are still going around and you stopped. And the people look at it and say, whoa, nobody else has something like that. That's permissible. If you got it without stealing, if you got it without compromising your religion, if you got it and when you stop and your wheels are going around, your rims are going around like this, you're not trying to be like kuffar, you're not trying to make a statement like that. That's anti-Islamic. It's okay. As long as you don't do it, and people who pull up and they watch you, you look at them like, yeah, you see that? You see that? All of that is permissible. To have a very expensive watch, 50,000 pounds, 100,000 pounds. The Nabi, he says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Allah yuhibbu an yara athara ni'matihi ala al-abd. Allah loves to see the effect of His ni'mah that He gave to someone. You have a good job and you made your house nice. People come into your house and they say, MashaAllah, this is nice. Allah loves that. Again, provided that you've taken the proper steps to acquire it and you're dealing with it the proper way. So a person having special clothes, no one else has shoes like him, no one else has that expensive perfume like him, no one else has the pen that he has, the car that he has. Ya Rasulullah, is that arrogance? He said, Allah is beauty. Allah created all of these things for you. He loves beauty and He loves to see you basking and enjoying His favors. He said arrogance is looking down upon people and being an individual who rejects the truth. So it shows, number one, al-ijab, being impressed and being conceited and being full of oneself. It opens up the door for being envious, because a person doesn't want any competition from people in regards to these dunya issues. And that's permissible. It's permissible. It is permissible you to be the only individual in the community who has an expensive car, a Ferrari that you can afford, and you like the sportsmanship and the workmanship that goes into the car. You are the only one to do that. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem is when someone else pulls up in a Ferrari or something similar to a Ferrari, and then you become an individual who has a problem with that. So the Nabi told the people sallallahu alaihi wasallam, ثلاث من المهلكات, 3 things they will destroy you. The first thing that he mentioned was following your hawa. Hawa muttaba'un. The second thing that he mentioned sallallahu alaihi wasallam is mushah muta' or shuh muta', being extremely stingy and not being able to share what Allah blessed you with. Very difficult to get this individual to share little of what he has. And the third one, and it is the point, ijab al-mar bi nafsihi, a person being conceited, being impressed with himself. Now listen, ikhwani, before we move on, inshallah, this point, everybody has hasad, and that's why Allah Azza wa Jal told us in the Quran to seek refuge in Allah Azza wa Jal from the hasad if he starts his envy. Everyone has it, but everyone doesn't execute it. So we seek refuge from Allah from the hasad if he has envy. The Mufassirun of the Quran said that's because everyone has this thing in their heart, but some people fight it, some people push it away. Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran about his Rasul and his Nabi, his Khalil, وَجْنُبْنِي وَبَنِي أَن نَعْبُدُ الْأَسْنَانِ رَبَّنَا إِنَّهُنَّ أَضْلَلْنَا كَثِيرًا مِنَ النَّاسِ. Ibrahim made a dua, oh my Lord, protect me and my sons, my children, from worshiping idols. Oh my Lord, those idols sent many, many people astray. It's not conscionable, it's not conceivable that Ibrahim, who was the Khalil of Allah, is going to worship an idol. He's an Imam of Al-Islam, an Imam yuqtada bihi, an Imam to be followed. So Allah commanded in the Quran, وَاتَّبِعُوا مِلَّةَ إِبْرَاهِيمَ حَنِيفًا, follow the millah of Ibrahim, follow his millah, follow the fact that he was a person of a tawheed. He used to go to the house of Allah Azza wa Jal, and he used to work for the religion of Islam by building institutions for this religion, get the circumcision, and other than that, follow the millah of Ibrahim. He's an Imam, and he was the Khalil of Allah, one of the 5 major Rasuls. And yet he sought refuge not only for him, but he sought protection and refuge in Allah for his children, Ismail and Ishaq, and their Anbiya. It's a lesson. He was a humble individual. From the characteristics in Islam that show the positive effect on the heart is to have humility, the opposite of being conceited and arrogant. Ibrahim wasn't too proud to make dua to Allah. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, when he was in his sajda, he used to ask Allah to establish his heart firmly. Allahumma ya muqallib al-qulub, thabbit qalbi ala ad-din. It's not conceivable. He's the Sayyid of Bani Adam, the Khatam of the Anbiya and the Rasul. He's in the Jannat al-Firdaus. Not conceivable he's gonna leave his religion and go astray. But he was teaching us, he's not too proud to ask Allah for thabat. Umar radiallahu anhu, during his khilafah, he said to Hudayfa ibn al-Yaman, one of the tremendous companions, and his basira and his knowledge during the times of the fitna, help the tabi'een. And it helps the one who wants to be on the minhaj that's sahih. Pay attention to the statements of Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, because he was in Kufa, dealing with all of those groups. Pay attention to Hudayfa ibn al-Yaman, because the Nabi saw him as a special person, to the point that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam told him all of the names of the munafiqeen. So Hudayfa was living, and he knew all of the munafiqeen who were with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that they were kuffar and troublemakers. But the Nabi said, don't tell anyone, because we have to judge them and deal with them based upon what is apparent. Anyway, during the khilaf of Umar radiallahu anhu, Umar asked him, Ya Hudayfa, did the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam consider me, mention me from amongst the munafiqeen? How can Umar be from the munafiqeen when he is the second best person in this ummah? When all of the human beings, Yawm al-Qiyamah, that Allah created from Adam until the last human being, all of them are going to be behind Umar, and the only people who are going to be before him are the prophets and the messengers, and Abu Bakr. He's the best human being ever created after the prophets and the messengers, and then Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. The Nabi told him he's going to be in Jannah. His wife, his daughter is the wife of the Nabi. Ayat of the Quran were revealed upon him because of him. That hijab that our women are wearing, our wives. That hijab, Umar radiallahu anhu. And so many other issues. Umar radiallahu anhu. And yet, he had enough humility to say, did the Nabi ask, did he mention that I was from the munafiqeen? What's the point? The Khalil of Allah Ibrahim, Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, the Nabi told those companions, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, and the rest of them, akhwafu ma akhafu alaykum ash-shirkul asghar. The thing that I'm most fearful for you companions, you, Abu Bakr, you people, the thing I fear the most is the minor shirk. They said, what is the minor shirk? All of the shirk is big in our eyes. Magic, everything is big. What do you mean the minor shirk, Ya Rasulullah? He says, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, Ar-Riya is showing off. Showing off. Wanting people to see you. You wanting to be validated. Wanting people to recognize your presence. Now the point is, if the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam was afraid for his companions because of his shirk, showing off. If Khalil, the Khalil of Allah Ibrahim, he asked Allah to protect him and his children from worshipping asnam, how is it possible that a person today from amongst us right now doesn't think that it's possible and highly conceivable that he has hasad, or that he makes shirk? He makes shirk and he doesn't even know it. Like this Christmas thing. The child participating in any form of this celebration of Christmas is shirkun billah. The Muslim doing any of this thing, eating the food, all of that issues connected to shirk. These days of the week, the months that we deal with, we've become desensitized because it's just our environment. This is just how it is. Shirkun billah. So everybody, the point is, should feel that there is this threat. And if you are saying, I don't have it, that's not my problem, then the person is not being true. He's not being fair to himself. So it has a direct correlation and a connection to al-i'jab, being impressed with oneself. Now we come, ikhwani, to some of what the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa ala alihi wasallam mentioned to us in terms of the ijab of yourself and the hasad that comes and the evil that comes as a result of it. Because it is the haliqa. From what he described that was going to happen, Yawm al-Qiyamah, is that لا تقوم الساعة حتى تقتتل فئتين عظيمتين فئتان عظيمتان من هذه الأمة كل واحدة منهما تدعي أن الحق معها. He said that the hour will not be established until two large groups of Muslims engage in combat, and both of them are fighting one another. Each group is saying that the truth is with it, and each group is being impressed with its point of view and what it's doing. And as a result of that, as a result of being impressed with its point of view, its ethos, being impressed with where it's located, what makes it different and unique from the other people, the other groups, it sees that it is okay to be at odds with people. Again, al-i'jab, being conceited, being overboard with what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given someone. One of the 10 Amir al-Mu'mineen in hadith. One, we mentioned Sufyan al-Thawri, Imam al-Bukhari, al-Imam Muslim, al-Madini, al-Imam Ahmed. From them is al-Imam Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak. Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak. They asked al-Imam Abdullah ibn al-Mubarak, what is a person being, they said, what is arrogance? He said, arrogance is looking down at people. Looking down, and your nose is up in the air at people. They said, and what is conceit? Being impressed with yourself. He said, it's for you to consider that you've been given something or some things that no one else has been given, and you're happy about that, and you let people know. As a result of this characteristic, some of the scholars of al-hadith, they rejected the narration of other people. Great scholar in Islam, the Mufassir Muhammad ibn Jarir al-Tabari, he had a student. He said, as Al-Imam al-Dhahabi said, he was a bahrun fil ilm. He was an ocean of knowledge. In narrating hadith, he was the man. His sheikh was the man. But he used to walk around and he used to say himself as being really impressed. I won't mention his name as a result of protecting the honor of the scholar. Al-Imam al-Dhahabi mentioned him in Sir Alam al-Nubala, where he mentioned all of those characters, all of those great scholars and all of those great personalities. He said that the ulama of al-hadith rejected him because the man thought he was the business over everybody else. So the people of the past, if the person had this character trait in him, back then and now, it's a character trait that is madhmuma, it's rejected, it's negative, something that is not positive. The Nabi, he says, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, bu'ithtu li'utammam makarim al-akhlaq, I've been sent to complete and perfect the character. Everybody has some character trait. He's lazy, he is not organized, this one doesn't take care of the amana. Everybody. And he has to make a struggle with all of them. One of the worst character traits is the character trait of al-hasad, because it has a problem. The person who's hasad, he has a problem with the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal. A person does not necessarily have to be happy with the qadr of Allah. The people, ulama of the past, this is a discussion was up for debate. Everything that happens to you, are you supposed to be happy? Some say yes, some said no. Those who said no seem to have the stronger dalil on their side. The man lost his arm. Why does he have to be happy about that? The man lost his wife, lost his wealth. Why does he have to be happy about that? His father, his mother became senile. They became handicapped. Now the quality of his life has been affected in a way that is a bit overwhelming for him. It's difficult. Why does he have to be happy about that? He has to have sabr, no doubt, that's not the issue. But does he have to be happy? When it comes to what Allah Ta'ala has chosen to give to people, that's up to Allah. So the one who's hasad, he has a problem with what Allah has decreed. He has a problem with it. And he's in opposition to it. Another issue is, al-hasad, ikhwani, is from the characteristics of the Jews and the Christians. A religious characteristic that Allah mentioned. So again, when the ayah said, whoever resembles a people, he's from those people, this characteristic is not from the characteristics that the people of Islam allow to manifest. They have it, but they have to suppress it. The Jews, the Christians, it's been mentioned in the Quran that it's a characteristic that they allowed it to come out. So Allah mentioned it and exposed it. أَيَحْسَدُونَ النَّاسَ عَلَى مَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ مِنْ فَضْلِهِ, will they have envy against the people as a result of what Allah has given the people? Meaning, as Al-Imam Ibn Kathir said, he said the meaning of it, the Jews, they were upset that Allah chose Muhammad from the unlettered Arabs to become the last Rasul and the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he brought all of the signs that were indications that he was the Nabi haqqa, and they should have followed him. But they had a problem. Why is it that Allah chose the Rasul to be from them and not from us? So Allah mentioned, do they have envy against the people as a result of what Allah gave them? The Nabi gave the example of this community. He said this community is like a man who said to a group of people who wants to work from sun up until Salat al-Dhuhr for 1 qirat, for 1 pound. Some people said, we'll do it. Then he said to the next group, who will work from Salat al-Dhuhr to Salat al-Asr, a short amount of time, for 1 qirat. They work less hours for the same price as the first ones who worked a long number of hours. From Fajr to Dhuhr, a lot of hours. That's the Jews. They had a lot of prophets, a lot of messengers, a long history. And then a man came and said, the same man, who will work for me now from Dhuhr time to Asr for the same 1 qirat? People said, we'll do it. And they were the Nasara, people who follow Isa. And then the man came and said to a group of people, who will work for me from Asr to Maghrib for 2 qirat? The shortest amount of time, and they get the double reward. So people said, the first group, the second group, they said, what's up with that? We worked all of those hours and we got 1 qirat, and he's working less hours and these people are getting 2. The man said, ذَلِكَ فَضْلِي أُؤْتِيهِ مَنْ أَشَاءُ. That's my virtues. I give it to who I want. I made the deal. I could give you 2, 3 as I want. Allah Azza wa Jal, that's his virtue. That's his virtue. He gave it to who he wanted. He gave him the money. He gave him the wealth. His child was allowed to graduate. He was allowed to accumulate this. He built the house where he came from. This was your business. It was your problem. And knowledge is the same way. Not only is knowledge the same way, but it's just as bad as the dunya. Just as bad as the dunya. And Imam Ahmed used to say, knowledge, students of knowledge, and ulama, shayukh, people involved in knowledge, in the masjid, knowledge. He said it has at-tughyan and dhulm. It has oppression, competition, hatred towards each other, the contemporaries, just like money. Knowledge is just like that. The businessman out there, he's in competition with the other businessman. When the customers come, he say, don't go to him, his meat is not halal. Don't eat from them, their meat is not halal. Don't do this, don't do that. My price is less than this. His is counterfeit. And they have that dhulm between them. Money, competition. And Imam Ahmed said, knowledge is the same way. Knowledge is the same way. And for those of you who are clicked on, switched on, clued up about some of the issues that are going on between the people of Ahl Sunnah, this is a manifestation of that. It's a manifestation of that. All it is competition and jealousy. Who's going to get the most speakers and the most people to buy my books and the most people to come to my masjid has nothing to do with anything other than that. And the mistakes that people do make, and everybody is making mistakes, including those shuyukh, without any exception. The mistakes that people make, if there was sincerity in there, then there would be a nice way of addressing the issue. The way we address issues amongst ourselves. So the issue of al-hasad, ikhwani, it is a characteristic of the people of al-Yahudiyya. Allah Ta'ala mentioned about the Yahud in the Quran, وَدَّ كَثِيرٌ مِّنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ لَوْ يُرَدُّونَكُم مِّن بَعْدِ إِيمَانِكُمْ كُفَّارًا حَسَدًا مِّنْ عِنْدِ أَنفُسِهِمْ. Those kuffar from Ahlul Kitab, the Jews and the Christians, they earnestly hope and pray, Ya Muhammad, that they will be able to make you apostate from your religion after Iman came to you. They don't want the people to be on al-Islam, on a divinely revealed book. The Nabi, he said in what was collected by Imam Ahmed, وَصَلَّى اللَّهُ وَسَلَّمَ عَلَى نَبِيِّنَا وَرَحِمُ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى Imam Ahmed. He said in an authentic hadith, مَا حَسَدَتْكُمْ الْيَهُودِ مَا حَسَدَتْكُمْ عَلَى التَّأْمِينِ وَالسَّلَامِ. The Jews were never envious against this ummah the way they're envious against you concerning at-ta'meen and salam. When the Muslims used to pray during the time of the Nabi in Jama'ah, and he said, غَيْرَ الْمَغْضُوبِ عَلَيْهِمْ وَلَا الضَّالِينَ, the Yahud from outside of the masjid will hear Ameen, and it will be loud. Not that the walls shook, because that hadith is not authentic, but they heard the unity of the Muslims. They heard the dua of the Muslims, the tawheed that the companions had in making dua to Allah Azza wa Jal. Ihdina sirat al-mustaqim. Not like the Jews, not like the Christians. Make us balanced. People who have knowledge. Iyaka na'bud wa iyaka nasta'in. We're people of a tawheed. And at the end of that dua, Ameen. The Jews used to hate it. It's a sign that the Arabs now of Medina are united. Something they used to hate because they would manipulate the ikhtilaf that existed between them. It was a sign of their imminent death and their loss of power and prestige. Then the person comes today and he says, in the salat, don't say Ameen, in Fajr, Maghrib, Isha, because the Imam said don't say that. The Imam said, Rahimahullahu Ta'ala, if the hadith is authentic, then that's my madhab. So his students after him, Hamd ibn Hassan Shaybani, his students after him, Abu Yaqub, Ishaq ibn Ibrahim, Rahimahumullah, they used to come and say, no, the Imam was wrong in that particular issue. And we say, you should do this and you should do that. Or you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that. The Imam said that dua, salat, ad-duha, the one you pray at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, he said that's not from the sunnah because he didn't know. He said that's an innovation. That's what the Imam said. His two students came and said, no, there's an authentic hadith clearly that illustrates this is from the sunnah. The Imam said, you shouldn't do Raf'ul Yadayn. His students came, la, that's what the Imam said. But if the Imam knew of these hadith, he would have said you do Raf'ul Yadayn. So the point here, ikhwani, is that's one of the clear proofs that Ameen is from the Salah. And the Yahud, it shows they have hasad. And they also have hasad for the salams. When the Muslim meets the other Muslim, he says, Salamu alaikum. So it's not acceptable for the Muslim to be in an environment, professional other than that, and there are non-Muslims around on the public transportation, and he's afraid, whether it's a Jew, Sikh, Hindu, whatever, he's afraid when he sees a Muslim. Sheikh right here, I remember him from a long time ago, I forgot his name. Sheikh right here with the white hair. You can clearly see the Sheikh for sure. You can see he's a Muslim, inshallah. Asian, he has a beard, look at him. He may be a Sikh, maybe a Hindu, but I don't think so. I'm willing to take a chance. And he's looking at me, waiting for me to give him salams because he's older than me. I have to say, Assalamu alaikum. Like it who like it, hate it who hate it. And not be afraid. So those people, from their characteristic was al-hasad. How do we protect ourselves from al-hasad? The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to protect himself from al-hasad by using those last two surahs of the Quran, the Maw'idatain. And before that, he used to make ruqya. He used to make dua that Allah would protect him from al-hasad and from the evil eye by different dua. When these two surahs were revealed, he consistently used these two surahs, sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Seek refuge in Allah from the envious one when he has envy, while he has envy. One man, he saw the companions swimming or taking a shower in some waterfall type thing where there was some water, and he was pretty muscular, and the person said, wow, never saw anybody who has skin like that, and look at his muscles, wow. And the man started drowning. Upon that being said, he started drowning. They ran in and they got him out of the water. Almost died. Pumped his stomach. He didn't die. They told the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He heard that he said, عَلَى مَا يَقْتُلُ أَحَدَكُمْ أَخَا إِذَا رَأَى أَحَدَكُمْ مِنْ أَخِيهِ مَا يُعْجِبُهُ فَلْيَدْعُ لَهُ بِالْبَرَكَةِ. Why does one of you kill his own brother? Why did you try to kill your brother? He said, if one of you sees something from your brother that you like, you're impressed with it, make dua for barakah. He didn't say mashallah. People say when you see something nice, you had a baby, I had a baby, say mashallah, mashallah. You can say mashallah, but the Nabi told the people sallallahu alayhi wasallam, if you see something that someone has and you praise it, pray for barakah. Allah yubarik fiqh, barakallah fihi, barakallah fiqh. So you see, the man started drowning, although it wasn't the goal and the objective of the one who said that to harm his brother. He gave him the evil eye, the evil eye. He said that the evil eye, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, said that the evil eye will land a man into his grave, and it will land the camel into the pot, because he walks and he breaks his foot, something happens, someone's look at the camel and praises the camel, as a result of that, the foot is broken. So they have to kill and slaughter the camel and eat it, and the benefit of the camel no longer exists because of the evil eye. So the Muslim can give you that, your mother, your father can give you that, or an enemy can give you that. So it's imperative that the person makes a part of his existence the Maw'idatain. Lastly, ikhwani, from the important issues of the etiquette with al-hasad, and this shows us that our religion didn't leave anything out. Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, وَنَزَّلْنَا عَلَيْكَ الْكِتَابَ تِبْيَانًا لِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ. We revealed to you this book, and it explains everything that you need to know. Allah Ta'ala mentioned in the Quran, وَمَا فَرَّطْنَا فِي الْكِتَابِ مِنْ شَيْءٍ. We didn't leave anything out of this book. A man has a ring, he wants to wear a ring. Our religion told us, you can't wear a gold ring. Something as insignificant as that. It's insignificant, it's from the mundane affairs. You can't wear the ring on this finger as a man. Can't wear the ring on that finger as a man. Can't wear the ring on that finger as a man. These two. And the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam wore a ring not because of his desire to have beautification. No. He wore a ring because the people told him, Ya Rasulullah, when you write letters, when you have letters written and you send them off, the people won't respect the letter if it doesn't have a stamp. So he took his ring and he made it Muhammad Rasul Allah. Muhammad at the bottom, Rasul in the middle, Allah. And he would stamp his letters that he sent to people with that ring. And he taught us in that ring so many ahkam. great scholar of Islam, Al-Imam Ibn Rajab Al-Hanbali, student of Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah. He has a book called Kitab Al-Khawatim, the book of the rings. What to do, what not to do, how his ring was. Abu Bakr took his ring after him. Umar took the ring after him. Uthman took the ring after him, and then the ring fell off into the well during the time of Uthman. Everything you need to know about the ring. And then Islam is not going to tell us about the details of our aqidah. And Islam is going to be quiet about big issues that are connected to our lives. How to establish the khilafah, what is jihad and what is not jihad. No, our religion is going to tell us everything. How to respect the Prophet ﷺ, how to show reverence. Our religion is going to tell us everything, everything. And it told us everything in this issue. He says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Ikhwani, as a form of advice, Ista'inu ala injah al-hawa'ij bil-kitman fa-inna min wara'i kulli ni'matin mahsud. He said, if you want to be successful in your aspirations, you're trying to do something and you want to be successful, you have plans, you want to get married, you want to invest in a business, you want to start a business, you want to move, you want to migrate, you want to go study. He said anything, any and everything that you have aspirations and an idea to do that thing, he said if you want to be successful in completing it, then remain silent about it. Don't go and tell everybody, because everyone doesn't have your best interests at heart. It's another indication about the responsibility a person has to weigh the people who are around him. What is the real worth of the people who are around you? When you had trouble and issues, you know, a friend in need is a friend indeed. He's always there in some way of helping and supporting, reliable. And then there's the other one who's never there, and he's a weight on your shoulder. You get problems because of him. You have a religious responsibility to look around you and to weigh the people that you're dealing with, and not just be with people. You have to literally say, from my companions is so and so and so and so and so and so and so on. Where do they stand? So if you go out and you tell everybody about what you want to do, the Nabi said behind every ni'mah is someone who has hasad. Every ni'mah. Sheikh has a beautiful beard. Tabarakallah. He has a beautiful beard. That's a ni'mah. Somebody's beard is scruffy, it doesn't come out right. He looks at his beard, he said, oh, look, why he got that beard? Something as small as that and insignificant. Every ni'mah that Allah gave you, everything that's a ni'mah for you, someone is there hating on your program. That doesn't mean that you are allowed to go from his place and you sit around and you start saying, okay, I have a new car. I know Auntie so-and-so is hating on my program, and so-and-so is hating on my program. And I think, no, you can't do that, but you have to know people are hating. So as a result of that, you read those mu'awwidhatayn. You make dua to Allah Azza wa Jal to protect you, your children, and your affairs from the people who are hating on your program in the open, people who are hating on your program in quiet and behind the screen and in the shade. So al-hasad, ikhwani, is from the major kaba'ir in the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. As a result of that, all of those scholars who wrote about books of kaba'ir, Imam al-Dhahabi, Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, these ulama, they put from the major sins al-hasad. The hasad is in conflict with the qadr of Allah Azza wa Jal.
You mentioned about how to protect yourself from likes of envy by reading the surahs and stuff. Why does it actually happen? I mean, why can't Allah stop that from happening? If you're a practicing Muslim and you've got beard and all the things that you use as an example, why would someone else's jealousy conflict you? Why would it? Okay.
Why would Allah Azza wa Jal allow these things to happen if He has the ability to stop this, and so forth and so on? First of all, akhi, the very first thing in issues like this, to a certain degree, it's permissible for a Muslim to be inquisitive. But he can't be inquisitive to try to figure out and know the answers to everything, because he has to know his place, he has to know his realm. He starts to ask questions, because where do you stop? He starts to say, why do we read this salat this way and that salat that way? Why was Rasulullah chosen and not Ali? And it's just no stopping that point. So that's the first thing. Allah mentioned in the Quran, إِنَّهُ لَا يُسْأَلُ وَهُمْ يُسْأَلُونَ. He is not questioned why he does anything, but they will be questioned. Why did you have envy? Why did you do that? Why did you do that? Second of all, hasad no doubt is from Iblis. So the Nabi says, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, Lo arada Allahu an la yu'sa lamma khalaqa Iblis. If Allah didn't want to be disobeyed, He wouldn't have ever created Iblis. It doesn't mean that He wants the people to disobey Him, but it means He created Iblis as a fitna. Why does hasad happen? Because it is a way of establishing where people are going to be in the hereafter. This guy, he dealt with hasad in the correct way, and that one he dealt with in the wrong way. As a result of that, he's going to be in Jannah, and he's going to be on a high level, he's going to be on a lower level. He's going to be in Jannah, he's going to be in the hellfire. So these issues like this, they're a test. They're from the wisdom of Allah. What He called in the Quran, al-hikmatul baligha, the extreme, ultimate hikmah, that you don't have any idea what's behind it. You know that guy, Nation of Islam, Louis Farrakhan, Elijah Muhammad, they were kuffar. But how many people came to Islam despite, I don't say because of, despite of that stuff? They weren't calling to Islam, but it made a lot of people aware of Islam. So Allah Ta'ala allows these things to happen as a fitna, as a test. لِيَعْلَمَ الَّذِينَ صَدَقُوا وَلِيَعْلَمَنَّ الْكَاذِبِينَ. So that Allah would know those who are truthful in what they say, and those who are just liars. They're just making mere claims. كَلَّا بَلْ هِيَ كَلِمَةٌ هُوَ قَائِلُهَا. It's just a word that he's saying. Send me back after Yawm al-Qiyamah. Send me back. I'm going to do the right deeds after he dies. Send me back. Allah says, just a word he's saying. I'm a believer. I'm a believer. How can you believer? How can you be a believer with hasad? You don't have complete, full iman. This person is saying here, Khwani, how do jealous people affect your plans if they do learn of them? Easy. The person can sabotage your program. They can sabotage your program. This is the dunya. So it's simple. You can be from the awliya of Allah Azza wa Jal, and the person can sabotage your program. Again, hasad is connected to al-ijab, conceit, being impressed. Hasad is connected to the evil eye. Person can make you sick, cause you to die, lose your life. And hasad is connected to magic. It's connected to magic. The Jews or people who have hasad, and they put magic on the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And the Mu'idhatain was revealed because of the magic that was on the Nabi. And Aiden is seeking refuge in Allah from hasad. They're all connected. How can it hurt you? How can it stop you? That person could put magic on you and make you a babbling buffoon. You can't move forward. You lose your senses and become majnoon. Bi-idhnillah. وَلَا يُضَارُّنَ أَحَدٌ إِلَّا بِإِذْنِ اللَّهِ. Those people, Harut and Marut, when they told those people about the magic, they didn't have the ability to hurt anyone except by Allah's permission. That's the ayat of the Quran. They learned from the people that which would separate the husband from the wife. How does he stop you? You let him know, I want to marry that individual, I want to marry into their family. They call the family up and say, no, he drinks khamr. No, don't marry him because he did this, he did that. And they jam your program up. They sabotage it.
What I understand from the talk is regarding control. Our processes that we have as human beings, like to open our eyes, ears, and to protect our heart from the evils that we commit. In terms of understanding ourselves, isn't that what the characteristics of the Prophet was all about? To understand what the human nature is and the human being is.
No doubt, in Islam, Quran and the Sunnah told us, encouraged us, commanded us to understand the nature, human nature, so as to know how to best effectively deal with things that are going around. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam informed us about the mentality of the youngsters, and how if you learned and you understood how they were, you'll know how to deal with them in the most effective way. He told us about the condition and the nature of women, concerning their menses, concerning them being created from the rib, and in their crookedness there's a straightness, and if you try to straighten the crookedness out of your wife, you're going to divorce her the way she is. He told us all of these issues so that we can better effectively deal with all of this stuff. So there's no doubt about that, no doubt about it. With the issue of al-hasad, as we mentioned, if it enters into the heart of the individual, you know the nature of the hasad, you realize that you as the husband, it is not unconscionable, it's not inconceivable that your mother is jealous of your wife. So when your wife is complaining to you about your mother, don't say, nah, no way, mama, that's my mother. No. The husband can be a baby, and he can be jealous of the attention and the love that his wife gives to the children. Or he has stepchildren. He's a baby. The man is a baby. He's jealous of the time that the mother is giving to her children who are not his children. It can happen to anybody. So if you know the nature of the hasad, then you wouldn't put it beyond anyone other than the anbiya and so forth and so on. You wouldn't put it beyond anyone falling into it and doing anything in this regard. And Allah knows best. Any more questions, Ikhwani?
You know how a couple of times experienced traveling in the bus and somebody putting magic spells on me. I didn't realize how much magic there is. A couple of times, this brother, one Pakistani man sitting, a young man sitting in front of me, behind me, whispering. But after a couple of days, I realized, and like university colleges on Yahud or other people as well, can you tell, I mean, I thought he was saying so, I heard the whisper something, and then can you tell what you read once they're putting spell on you, and you can guess, well, maybe he's putting what he's doing, and then afterward, what sort of effects you get?
Concerning the spells, as we mentioned earlier, the Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he used to read the last two surahs of the Quran, and other ayat of the Quran can be read as a protection from magic spells. We don't call it white magic, it's just the Quran. وَنُنَزِّلُ مِنَ الْقُرْآنِ مَا هُوَ شِفَاءٌ وَرَحْمَةٌ لِلْمُؤْمِنِينَ. The Quran is a rahmah and a shifa. It will get magic off of you, and it can protect you from magic. The Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam also made some dua to protect himself from al-magic. Bismillah arqiq, by Allah I give you the ruqya, wa as'alullah an yashfiq, and I ask Allah Azza wa Jal to give you the shifa. And Jibril used to make that dua on the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The Nabi used to make that dua on himself and on his companions. And the other thing, if you take the bus, as you mentioned, don't sit by Pakistanis on the bus.